In early America, there was the horse and buggy. So much was accomplished with the horse and buggy. This looks so normal. Everything makes so much sense. All this stone, and then a little wooden ramp, wooden wheels, wooden kegs, and all this stone and brick. Zillions of tons. This was called the Old Rook in Chicago. It was once the city hall, for a short time, until this became the city hall. They wanted to demolish this shortly after they built it, but it was said that it would bankrupt the city just to demolish it. And then this became the city hall for Chicago. Just really dissatisfied people. Here is the Spokane courthouse, built in 1 year. We've discussed this recently. And here's just a high school, also in Spokane. This is the principles of atmospheric tech, using balloons, but you may as well just use a tower if you could build one. In the old world, they had no problem building towers. Towers and all kinds of fancy ornaments that resembled tech. This is just some ruins, I believe in the Bronx. Just some junk waiting to be demolished. And there was more demolishing in the old world than there seems to have been building. A lot of fires. And the same story in Russia. Same story in every part of the realm. Just a big, muddy mess. This is where they buried President Garfield. Buried him somewhere in here. Personally, I don't want to be buried. I'd rather be fed to wild vultures like the Tibetans. Here is what we would be told is a building strategically built into these rocks. Or has it melted? This is the Trocadero in Paris, torn down, just built for the World's Fair. Too junky for those people. These are the ruins in Windsor, Mississippi. The Windsor ruins, huge, really, you can't tell from this picture. Romanesque Grecian ruins in Mississippi. And here's a great mud flood picture. We can see the front door. These guys are far from it. And just really strange. How does this happen? And how does this happen? How do ruins disappear into the mud? Why are temples built 3 stories underground with nice material, brick? And of course I don't know anything. I don't know anything at all. I just ask questions and enjoy your feedback. Thanks for being here this week. I love you all and welcome. Shortly before I started this channel, my life fell apart. I found myself in a real pickle. I had a few shitty jobs, found a decent one, and then I started this channel while I was working there. And in retrospect, I'm glad everything fell apart. But while it's falling apart, it can be unpleasant, especially if we're unwilling to recreate our lives. Here is an article. A mountain where soil is 60 to 90% gold has been discovered in the Congo. Villagers flock to the area with shovels and pickaxes. So this was a couple years ago, March 7th, 2021. The Democratic Republic of Congo has witnessed something right out of an adventure or treasure hunt story. The country authorities have had to ban mining in a village after a mountain made of gold-rich deposits was discovered. The mountain, again, has 60 to 90% gold in its soil, essentially almost made of gold. And I made a video once talking about such things, but I didn't have this. This would have made my video more legit back then. Now I knew things like this existed and would be found. The Native Americans talk about the same thing occurring in the Americas after the last cataclysm. Gold pouring out of the base of all of the mountains, which is what I talked about in that video. And I hypothesized that these were the remains of a past civilization. Either their buildings were made of them, such as the legends of the 7 cities of gold, or that they were just treasures, perhaps melted down. I don't know. But what we do know is this as a fact. The Mountain of Gold. Here's the BBC. Unfortunately, it's in German. And we can see how much they've mined. And we can see how building-like this actually looks. Looking like an old doorway here. Or something, just not a natural mine. The police of the Congo sent police to secure the area. It's weird how German is so similar to English, actually. Shown on a video says villagers. I mean, really, not too difficult to read. They dig the soil inside the gold deposits and take them to their homes in order to wash the dirt and extract the gold. Let's have a little look at this Twitter video. So, it looks like little bits. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody pull one out yet. I think they're just frantically taking shovels of dirt and just bringing them home. No time to take your time. Here we can see them washing the dirt. And yeah, a lot of gold coming out here. Really fascinating and really pure, actually. Not much dirt at all. And the Congo is pretty jungly, as we can see in the background here. A lot of vegetation. I don't know if this is German. I don't really know. It can't be. So really cool. Let me know what you think. Now we're gonna do a reverse image search of this picture. This was shared by a Russian channel, and I'm not sure what he was saying. I never am. And here, it's given me a book. Looks like we're in Iran. Persepolis. We've discussed this in past videos. And here's a really old picture of it. And here we're getting some Petra-like ruins. Oh, Cappadocia, so we're in Turkey. And look at this. Kind of sand dunes, but then as we get closer over here, we see one of them being a little hut, lending to the idea that all of these were some kind of city or dwelling or something. We see the transition happening right here. Of course, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of what I'm seeing here, if that bothers you. And here we go. Here we go. So this was Turkey, actually. Cappadocia. And I think that this was just one little part of this. A little more preserved. A little doorway, as we can see here. And that's cool. I mean, it is. A little window here. And some people will say, oh no, this is just totally normal. This is not melted. This is simple geology. And this is a carving, of course. This is a carving, they will say. Why didn't they carve it nicely? But I don't care about that today. I don't even give a shit. What interested me was this. Oh yes. For if this was just some natural bullshit, why would we have some kind of brick road in front of it in the middle of BFE? BFE is short for butt-fing Egypt, something we used to say in my youth, and I need more of this. I need to be here. Somehow, we need a better picture. And I just didn't know where this was, but now I do. And now we also know, looking at this looks like Utah, except for these structures. Now we also know that there is a brick road, an old brick road around here. And for me that changes things. This was a volcanic region, they tell us. And that's it. I mean, really, what can I say? People get triggered. Some, of course, small-minded people, when you talk about something possibly melting. Well, go ahead, tell us. What is this? Did they just get tired and stop carving? Did they shimmy up here with a rope and carve this out and say, nah, let's move on to this one. No, forget it. How about this one? No, one more. I give up. Is that what happened here? We just start carving windows and then just walk away? Or are these towers? Old buildings? I want to absolutely stress that I don't know. And even if I did know, I probably would just keep it to myself. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I don't care. Go ahead and think what you want. I don't even care. I'm just here to share with you. This is Show and Tell with Jon. Go ahead and oppose. What is this? And what is this? And maybe this road just made itself. Maybe this is the result of volcanic activity. And this is kind of interesting. This pointy type of building with entrances. And everything looks in good shape here. Could this have been what these turned into? I think so. Oh no, this is just normal. This is just very normal. Normal geology, normal carving by normal people. Again, normal and natural. Unbelievable what these people have said here. Pervs. So, are we to believe that these people just built like this, halfway into rocks, unfinished pockets of preservation like this? Look carefully here. Look inside here. The flower, busted off. Was this the intentions? Or is this a piece of preservation that has popped off, revealing what this structure looked like? What can you say? You're either in the meltology camp or you're in the carving camp. In the mainstream historical carving camp. Just gonna come up here and carve this when you know damn well that you could never finish it? Just have so much time on your hands to come up here and carve this glory for nothing? Again, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I'm only sharing this. And essentially, I'm just talking to myself and my poor dog who has to listen to me. But of course, I would love to hear your thoughts. And I know that most of you are awake, and it seems like most of you get what I'm talking about here. And it's for you that I share. So this week I want to talk about anything but history. Anything at all. I thought I would share some pictures of my life. The last video I made was on these menus, and the sound really turned out horrible. I tried something different, and I think it was a failure. Right now, it's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and even though it's warm inside, I have the fire going, I can still feel the energy. I can't explain it. It's hard to sleep when it's minus anything. It's pretty much been the roughest winter I can recall in at least 10 years. When I first moved out here, it was much worse. It reached minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 weeks when I first moved out here, and I wasn't ready for it at all. I grew up in Arizona, and although I'm 5 hours from Moab, when I moved out here I thought that the weather was kind of Moab-like, but I was very wrong. Here I'm putting chains on. Over the last couple days I haven't had to use the chains, but for a good 2 weeks solid, I had to put chains on the back tires just to get in my driveway, which is like a quarter mile. Many of you were wondering why I didn't go out to that ghost town and do part 2, Dragon. Well, when I made that video I had really bad tires, and now I have better ones, but I can't go out there until all the snow melts. I'm really feeling cooped up. I'm sure a lot of people that deal with this weather are feeling the same way. I feel pretty stupid this year, living off-grid. It seems like such a waste of time. So much wasted time in one way. Just putting on chains, cutting wood, feeding animals. Is it all worth it? Here I took Chief to Park City, and we went to a dog park, and he got to play with some dogs. It was really fun. It's just what we needed, just a change in scenery. And where I live, we don't even have a dog park. Sometimes the sun shines, but for the last several weeks it's just been foggy. I have to use the generator. Typical to use the generator in December and January. Anybody that uses solar will see a drop in their batteries during this time of year. The chickens stop laying eggs during this period as well, every year. I think their eggs get reabsorbed into their system But otherwise, they're looking pretty good. All their feathers actually look better than they did before we went into the winter. And initially, they were a little upset that they were back in the coop, but now I think they appreciate it. Their little house is a greenhouse. There's windows here pointing to the south, and it stays pretty warm in there. And it's nice to get their eggs, of course. But ultimately, in an emergency, they are food themselves. I wouldn't eat them unless it was an emergency. I'm starting to feel like I should talk about other things, solutions. It makes me sick to think that people are stuck in the rat race. And I'm stuck in the rat race, but I found a better way, or at least am on my way to what I think is a better way. Not to everyone. My way would be hell to many of my friends and family. I just wouldn't want it. Couldn't do without their stores and restaurants and certain luxuries. And I understand, but I'm not sharing for those people. It's just like these videos. I'm not making these videos for mainstream historians. I know they don't care. I think I'd rather discuss my philosophies on life. And if people want to shame and ridicule my thoughts, that would be just fine. This is an official construction photo of the St. George Temple. Official. I've shown it before. But what the hell? I mean, if I would have just stuck this photo in last week's video, people would have just screamed AI. AI all over the place. And yet this is an official Mormon history photo right here. It used to be on Wiki. They've removed it. They've since removed a lot of these comical construction photos. And once again, if I just said, where are we? This is official history. Here we go. I said this is a BS picture. So I'm glad. Let us just put it all on the table. Again, I don't know. Even this looks like absolute BS. But I wasn't there. What the hell? But it clearly does look like a BS photo. AI, I don't know. I think this was just done by a sloppy person. So all I can say is I don't know. I've always said I don't know, because I don't. I can only share my observations, my thoughts. Much easier to ridicule, much easier to jump in the camp of ridicule and shame to somebody who poses a different idea. Sorry and thank you for joining me this week. Do have a blessed day. I love you all, and I'll see you soon.